Okay, we are live. Yo, 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 what is good, everybody? It is the Godfather of VR, the ageless one of the man, Lincoln Clay, coming back at you with a live stream as we are live from Wakanda, as I am in Wakanda right now in the Royal Computer Room. How is everybody doing this Saturday, March 14th, 2020? I just got out of work, putting in some overtime. It's that time again. I'm starting to put in some overtime, and it is leaving me fatigued. And so, because of that, I really haven't put out any content this week. But hey, I feel like overtime is a good problem to have because it does allow me to have a couple of bucks for this and that. So, Garuda, first, please don't power bomb me into the pyramids. How you doing, man? Excuse me. So, audio is low. I think it might be more of a case of how soft I'm talking, but let me turn the gain up and see if that works. Let's turn the gain up on this microphone. Holy shit, the gain is up quite a bit on this. So just a second. Um, Go in here. Yeti microphone. Yeah, everything is up, Garuda. I think it might be a case of how soft I'm talking. Um, because I got the microphone set on 95. Um, I've got the gain on my Yeti microphone turned up about 3/4 of the way, even though that was an accident. But I guess what I could do is let's bring the microphone a little bit closer to me, and hopefully, how's that sounding? As, I mean, this microphone is so good that I could have it sitting halfway across the room and it'll still pick up all kinds of stuff. So hopefully that's a little bit better because just about everything, um, the microphone within OBS is turned almost all the way up. The gain is turned up about 3/4 of the way on this microphone, and and I'm looking at a meter here, an input meter, and that's turned almost all the way up. So let me listen to the replay of this, see how that sounds. Give me a second. Jump into YouTube real quick. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, folks. Let's try this again. Let me listen to the replay of this. Okay. Listening to it from my phone, the audio sounds about right to me. I think this was just a case of me talking a little bit soft. So I don't know. Once my motor starts to get running, it'll probably get a little bit louder. But before I get into some news, just a couple of tidbits. We have this situation going on around the world where everybody's taking precautions for for the obvious reasons, and there are YouTubers who are avoiding using the term of this situation because I guess they'll get demonetized if they outright say the word. So this channel isn't monetized. Now, I do not care about whether or not I would get demonetized, but I do care about this video not reaching, at least people who are subbed to my channel because YouTube's been funky with that stuff about the notifications. People, not everybody's been getting the notifications and all that kind of stuff. So that part I do care about it. So rather than refer to this situation under its current name, I'll just address it as CV19. I was going to say CV1, but that's actually the Oculus Rift CV1, so I don't want to get it confused. So I'll just refer to it as CV19. The and my job has taken steps to combat CV19. They basically, in a nutshell, they are allowing people to call in if they have symptoms of CV19, and they can take days off without penalty. And but there is a little bit of a catch to this situation. If you call in and say you think you have symptoms of CV-19, you will be excused, but you will not be allowed back to work for 14 days, unless cleared by a doctor. The minute you call and say, I think I got the symptoms, that's it. You're out of work for 2 weeks. Uh, So, so for those, I assume the reason why I brought that up is because I assume that there are companies across the country, maybe across the planet, that are taking these precautions. Um, Not only that, they even told us at my job, they even told us if you display symptoms of CV-19, you will be sent home. So, with that being said, if you're a person who lives check to check, you better pray you don't get sent home. If you're a person that lives check to check and you're planning on, wanting to take this opportunity to try to play hooky for a few days, you better think long and hard about it because you're going to be, in the case of our employer, you're going to be told to stay home for 14 days. So, I mean, I got my rainy day money tucked away and that kind of stuff. So, V-Tids, how's it going? So I don't foresee missing work. I hope I don't miss work, that kind of stuff. So, but I guess that's about as far as I'll go with that. I don't want to get too deep into that because I got my thoughts on that, and some of it is conspiracy theories and that kind of stuff. So I really don't want to get into that. I just want to throw that little tidbit in there that I'm sure, with things getting shut down all over the place, the NBA and all that kind of stuff, and it's starting to trickle over to everyday people like me, where their companies are shutting down. My son, he matter of not, I won't even say my son, the entire state of Michigan, schools are closed down until April 6th. And so you have parents that's going to have to deal with a situation of they're basically counting on their kids to be at school. So with their kids being out of school for the next 3 weeks, they've got daycare issues that they're going to have to address. So yeah, this is getting really crazy. So the CV-19 itself, I'm not that concerned about it. I am concerned about the feverish pace that people are buying up supplies because this toilet paper thing, I'm not really that even concerned about it. The grocery store where I do my shopping at, I walked in there this morning to do some grocery shopping, and there was toilet paper there, but I did see people buying a lot of toilet paper. Seeing people buying a lot of meat. People was just buying a lot of food, and their shopping carts were full. But this grocery store are keeping their shelves stocked. So the only thing that was like noticeably missing when I came in there was like the fruit and vegetable rack. There was definitely some empty spots there. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's the best way to put this. Is I hope you got some money tucked away if it comes to a situation where you're being told to stay home, for a couple of weeks, whatever the case may be. So that's where I will leave that. Um, also give a shout out to Sick Humor. He went live a couple of days ago. I hit him up on Twitter and was like, man, you got to go live. I need some content to listen to. I'm doing these 10-hour shifts at work and I need something to listen to. And then he went live. Later that evening, I was asleep when he went live because I was just so tired. But I did catch the replay of his podcast with OBJ the Don and Ace and Big Money and Craig Harris. It was a pretty good podcast. So shout out to all of them. And speaking of podcasts, I'm just now going live because I just got done watching Rendered Reality, and I think the guy's name is Sean. He had a gamer tag as a guest as well as gaming science teacher. And that was a pretty good podcast too. So I wanted to wait until that show was over before I went live, because I do enjoy the show. And then not only that, I'm sure any subscribers to my channel that this deep into VR was probably watching that anyway. So I do my best to try to steer clear of any shows that I think make conflict with my own podcast. So, but definitely a good show. So if you haven't checked it out, check that out too. So, and then I think the last thing that I might want to get into before I get into the news, which there truthfully, truth be told, is I don't really think there's a lot of news as far as VR goes. I don't think there's a lot of news. Um, so I guess more than anything is just me, kind of somewhat killing time with you guys, talking about a little bit of this, a little bit of that, get into a little bit of news, and get into this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that again. Um, so as some of you guys know, I've been doing a lot of sim racing lately, and I've talked about how the 24 Hours of Le Mans is my favorite race. And I think it's the greatest race in the world. And in honor of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the week before the race, I plan to do a 24 lap race. In honor of that, race. But after, but shoot, I hope the race doesn't get postponed or canceled altogether because of CV-19. Um, YouTuber Jimmy Broadbent, right now as we speak, he's doing a 12 hours of Sebring race on iRacing. I don't know if this is an event that's on the game or if this is something that he does every year. So I went to Google, when the real 12 hours of Sebring is coming up. Sarah is great. What's up, man? Been a while since I seen you. Thanks for dropping in. I really appreciate it. So I googled the 12 hours of Sebring. It's supposed to happen a week from today, March 21st, but the race has apparently been postponed till November due to CV-19. So that's got me wondering if that's going to happen to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So fingers crossed that the race still goes on in June as scheduled, because I'm really looking forward to that race. And I'm also looking forward to, seeing if Ford's going to come back, and bring the Ford GT back. I'm looking forward to seeing if Chevy is going to introduce the new generation Corvette at the 24 Hours Le Mans. So I'm curious to see how this new car is going to hold up. Will it be dependable? Will it break down? That kind of stuff. So the 24 Hours Le Mans is it's an endurance race. So basically, the most dependable cars are the ones that win, the cars that don't break down, because 24 hours of hard racing on those brakes, on that engine, on the body of the car. Sooner or later things go wrong, and those cars have to go into the garage to get immediate repairs. So, and then God forbid if they have a computer problem and they have to wheel that car into the garage and like damn near tear the car apart to find out what's going on with it. So, so all this stuff, about the 24 Hours of Le Mans, things like that, when I start getting involved in it, I get deeper and deeper into it, and this that's how it got started with my fascination of the Titanic. Long before the movie came out, I was fascinated about the Titanic. And then as I started to do more and more research, it just kept snowballing, and I kept doing more and more research and getting more and more into it. And that's the case right now with the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Coon, Lincoln, did you hear about the Silent Hill VR rumor? Yes, sort of. I mean, like, it kind of went in one ear and out the other. I think it's I have to go back and look into it, but I think it's like a fan build or something about a rumor about Silent Hill, possibly re-emerging in VR, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm somewhat aware of it, but again, I've been really tired this week, so I've been doing a lot of sleeping, so I haven't been doing a lot of reading on the articles. I posted a few things on Twitter this week, but I haven't really been that deep into reading these articles just because of how tired I've been. But yeah, I definitely want to look into the Silent Hill VR rumors. I don't know if I'll play it because I don't do very well at horror games, but hey, if it's coming to VR, that'll be great, because I keep saying, I love to see VR grow to the point where we start seeing bigger and bigger titles, and even past favorites get, reintroduced in VR. So, but coming back to these thing with the 24 hours of Le Mans. So lately, I've been practicing against a full grid, and I just recently bought a DLC for Project Cars 2 because I wanted the Toyota 050 hybrid. I have that car on GT Sport, and I really like that car. It's a hybrid, and so I did a race on Project Cars 2 in VR a couple of days ago, and I was kind of bullshitting around, but I turned in a lap of 3 minutes and 35 seconds. So I started wondering, how much better can I do? If it's real, I'll let you know about it. All right, cool. All right, cool. Definitely keep me posted. So I was wondering just how much better can I get? How much faster of a lap can I turn in? So that's prompted me to start doing some more research to find out what the real record is at the real race. And a couple of years ago, the real life record was set by a Toyota racer, I think by the name of Kamui Kobayashi. He turned in a lap of 3 minutes 14 seconds and some change. And then that prompted me to go through YouTube to see who turned in some of the fastest laps on the video games versions of this track. And I had stumbled across a YouTuber, I think his name was Yoiko or something like that. He turned in a lap time of 3 minutes and 15 seconds with the same Toyota 050 hybrid. And so I was watching a bunch of other videos. People were turning in times of 316, 317, 318. And then I came across Jimmy Broadbent. I think last year he did a video. Not only was he looking to break the record, he was looking to do it in under 3 minutes. And he was using the Porsche 919 Evo. And so he took a couple of cracks at the record. And then he broke the record on his first crack at it. I think he turned in a lap time of 3 minutes and 11 seconds. And then when he took another crack at it of trying to do under 3 minutes, he turned in a time of 3 minutes and 1 second. So that was pretty impressive. So short story long, the reason why I'm talking about all this right now is because I'm planning on doing a couple of hot laps today, because I want to compare the two games. I want to compare the handling of the TS 050 on both games. So I will be doing a hot lap on both Project Cars 2 and GT Sport using the Toyota TS 050 hybrid. And I'm going to try to put the settings on the cars as close as I can on both games. I plan to shut off traction control, anti-lock brakes, and use the softest tire compound possible, and see what I can do, what kind of lap times I'm going to be able to turn in. And I'm going to do this on in VR on both games. So, but I do think I'm going to end up turning in the fastest time on GT Sport, because I think the cars have, from the default settings, I think the cars have better grip on GT Sport. Maybe that's why people feel like that game might be a little arcadey. I don't know. But using the 4GT on Project Cars 2, that car does slide around a little bit. So, but anyway, I'm hoping to do that today, so keep your eyes open for it. So, wow, I chewed up 23 minutes. Let's get into some news. Let me go to Twitter. Because there has been some VR news, and some of it flew right over my head, because I told you guys before about these headsets. Like, these new headsets are starting to pop up all over the place, and I said I really wasn't going to talk about them anymore, because so these headsets that are popping up is for enterprise use. So it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect you, at least not right now. So it's a situation where these headsets that are popping up for enterprise users, when they get officially available to the consumer, then I'll talk about it. I'll talk about the effect that it would have on you and me when you and me can actually play them. So let's get into the first bit of news here. And I might even have to backtrack and go to some of the sites like Road to VR, Upload VR, N4G, that kind of stuff. So with the first bit of first, I'm going to start from the most recent and backtrack. Oculus Quest was in stock again after Corona C19 production CV19 production woes. And let's see here updates. As a 2:53 p.m. Pacific, 64 gigabyte Oculus Quest model is in stock too. Um, so let me get to the article. Facebook's Oculus Quest has been sold out in recent weeks from some online sellers and in some countries from the official Oculus website. As of this writing, however, you can still grab the $500 128 gigabyte version of the headset from the official site in the United States. The headset starts at around $400 for a 64 gigabyte edition. Both versions of the standalone headset became sold out at most retailers and in many countries in recent weeks as Facebook felt the effects of CV19 production of the all-in-one device. So let me skip ahead a couple of paragraphs because this is just telling the history of it. I don't really. Demand seemed to increase for the headset with the November release of the Oculus Link Beta, which offers a wired mode that converts it into a PC VR system with a compatible computer. In December, Facebook added experimental hand tracking to the device, which will eventually allow some games played without controllers. Speaking of which, my son contacted me yesterday and said that the Kinect from the 360 Xbox 360 somehow you can use that for full body tracking in VR. So that's interesting, very interesting. So that just tells you how much my son is starting to dig into learning stuff. So like I said, I think his career is going to be laid out for him. See here, Facebook is expected to make some announcements next week in lieu of the Gaming Developers Conference, which was to be held in San Francisco before it was postponed due to CV19. You can check out the official Oculus website, and those are the company retail partners, websites like Best Buy and Amazon. For the latest availability updates on Quest will also provide updates, so check back. So, yeah, I definitely want to. I'll get around to that. You see here. Facebook detailing new VR games at online developer showcase in lieu of GDC update. Let me see. After pulling out of the 2020 Game Developers Conference a few weeks back and the show's subsequent cancellation, Facebook will be hosting an online showcase for upcoming VR titles next week. The Facebook Game Developers Showcase is being held on March 16th at 5 p.m. GMT, blah, 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 and running until March 19th. Then on March 24th, Facebook Gaming, the streaming branch of the official media platform, will have announcements of its own. It doesn't sound like this announcement fueled video presentations like, say, our upcoming E3 VR showcase. See what they're talking about. Yeah, I just got an alert. Something about that. Oh, what's going on, Sick? What's going on, man? Good podcast with you, OBJ the Don, and Ace. Good, real good podcast. Boy, 5 hour podcast, but every bit of it was good. So, moving on. So, instead, it looks like it will be a series of blog posts going live on the Oculus blog over those days, detailing several games on the way to the Oculus Quest and Rift. We reached out to Facebook to clarify. Confirmed titles include Pistol Whip, Beat Saber, Room, Dark Matter, Lies Beneath, blah, blah, blah. So, bottom line is we'll just have to check it out on March 16th, which I think is Monday, to see what they're going to be showcasing, to see what kind of stuff they're going to show. So moving on to the next one, and this is definitely one that I was concerned about. The E3 VR showcase will return this June. I was definitely concerned about that because tell you the truth, all this E3 stuff that's being canceled and all that kind of stuff, the E3 VR part of it Was the only part that I was really concerned about. I could care less about Sony and everybody else they pulled out. I could really care less about it. Whatever Sony was planning to show us, they'll show us sooner or later, probably by way of state of play or some other means. So, but I'm definitely glad that this E3 VR showcase is still moving on. Um, as you'll likely know by now, this year's event is canceled due to the ongoing CV-19 virus. Like many of you, we're disappointed to learn the show won't be happening, but completely understand and support the decision. But worry not, the E3 VR showcase will return this June. We're going to leave it at another month. We're going to leave it another month or so until we announce the news officially. But in light of this week's development, we wanted to reassure our fans that this year's show will be going ahead. It will be called the E3 VR Showcase. Still, maybe, maybe not. We're still working those things out, but it will definitely be happening. We'll let you know the final specifics, like date and time, and of course our redesigned logo as soon as we have them. So this is from the this is from Upload VR. So this is coming from them directly. Because they're the one that's going to be putting on this E3 VR showcase. So this is coming from them directly. So however they plan to do it, I'm just glad that it's still going on. So what else we got? Assetto Corsa, one of the sim racers that I've been playing lately, is coming to Xbox One and PS4 on June 23rd, 2020. And a lot of people don't really care for racing games, so they're not going to care about that. But hey, I expect, the reaction to this game. I don't know how many people are going to jump on this game because a lot of the hardcore sim racers on the on PlayStation, they pretty much play GT Sport. And if they want to take it a step further and want to go, and try to step up and play something that I think is more simulation than GT Sport, that's where they're on PC playing iRacing and Assetto Corsa and other games. But it's cool that this game is coming to Xbox and PlayStation. But I'm telling you guys right now, do not expect VR support for the PlayStation version of this game, because I simply believe that the hardware will not be able to handle it. I would love to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think it could possibly happen after the PS5 comes out, and then they come back with a VR patch for it. But right now, no, I don't think it's gonna happen. If it did, you would have a situation with like Drive Club where it would look like absolute dog shit, or you would have a situation like you do with GT Sport, where it's nothing but time trials or one-on-one versus the AI. So do not expect VR support, and I would gather to think that if they can't do it right, then they probably don't want to do it. And so, next bit up is Facebook Horizon. Facebook Horizon closed alpha begins this month. I didn't even see what that. I didn't see what that. Good plug, sick. What up? What up, Rome Rush? I didn't even see what that notification was. So if it was a subscriber, thank you very much. I think that's the only notification that I got turned on. Let me see. Last week, Facebook began inviting users to participate in the closed alpha for Facebook Horizon. The social app was announced last year at OC6 and will see users participate in creating customizable worlds, expressive avatars, and experiences. The announcement in September came with the promise of a 2020 launch and a closed beta early this year. A screenshot on Reddit revealed that Facebook is now sending out invites to a private alpha for Facebook Horizon, with the closed beta presumably still to come in the following weeks or months. A Reddit user posted a screenshot of an email they received from Facebook inviting them to the alpha for Facebook Horizon. The cutoff period to accept the invitation was last Friday, with the alpha beginning later this month. Facebook also noted that the participation in the alpha will require users to sign an NDA, as the alpha version of Horizon is an early form and will keep making product improvements over the course of the month. What's good, Rome Brush? The only reason why I even brought this up is because social apps are on the rise in VR. Um, I, you know, VR chat is arguably the biggest social app on VR right now. Pug, what's up? PUG, what's going on? Mr. VR PC Master Race, what's going on? Um, as I was saying, um, VR chat is arguably the biggest social app in VR right now. I think at one point the Rec Room might have held that title, but now social apps are on the rise. And start, you got VR chat, the Rec Room, you got Alt Space, you got Big Screen, which people have also talked about. That is a way the they've talked about how VR can combat CV-19 because they were talking about because of CV-19, theaters are probably going to be empty. Nobody's going to come to the movies because of that. But they could still somewhat cash in by allowing people to see these movies through big screen on their VR headsets. So that would be another way to try to combat CV-19 and allow people to still watch movies. I mean, because they treat it like a real movie theater now. Because I think when these movie theaters saw the success of big screen, how that was starting to take off, they decided to jump in. So now you can like officially purchase tickets. You can go to a big screen and get official movie listings, what time these movies are going to start, and and be able to buy tickets to watch the movie through your headset. And all these movies that they show are in 3D, so you can watch. I think it was a couple of days ago. They showed World War Z in 3D. So they're showing something every day. So anyway, these social apps are on the rise, and reason why I'm bringing this all up is because I think when the PS5 comes out, I think Sony, no bones about it, I think they have to bring PlayStation Home back, and I think they have to integrate both VR users and flat screen users. If they bring PlayStation Home back, I think they can actually swipe some of that PC crowd from them. The only thing is, I guess the only catch is that knowing Sony, they probably wouldn't allow any mods there because that's one of the things that's got people like coming to VR chat in hordes is the ability to to experience mods or do it yourself. So my son, he don't even play the Pavlovs and those kind of games. He don't even play those games that much anymore because he spends so much time in VR chat and extracting assets from other games and implementing them into to VR chat. So I don't think Sony can afford to miss that train. They got to bring back PlayStation Home, and they have to allow both flat screen gamers and VR gamers to experience the PlayStation Home. So Rome Rush place like right now Rome Rush, that's what people got on the PlayStation VR. They got the Rec Room. The Rec Room is pretty successful. I think the PlayStation version of Rec Room has the biggest user base. The game is crossplay. Oh, sorry about that. I smacked my microphone. The game is crossplay across PlayStation VR, Quest, and other PC headsets. So there is a lot of people there, and because of that, because of the growing market of VR, I don't think Sony can afford to sit this out. They got to bring PlayStation Home back. So that's the biggest reasons why I put that Facebook Horizons in there because their social app is coming, and they got the pockets to fund this social app and make it a top tier experience. So depending on what Facebook chooses to do with Facebook Horizons, they could end up unseating VR chat as the biggest social app in VR. And VR chat is, it is crossplay with the Oculus Quest as well. So the user base on on VR chat speaks for itself, because even when I go on Twitch, at any given moment, there's like 4,000 viewers, watching these VR chat streams. So there is a market for these social apps. Oh, okay. There's the notification. Rome Rush, thanks for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate it. So let's move on to the next bit of news. Now this one, now you guys tell me what you think about this. Rome Rush, I would love PlayStation Home in VR. That would feel like Ready Player One. Absolutely. Saris is great. There's been some projects about bringing back Home by the Dreams creators, Lincoln Clay. Some prototypes have been shown on YouTube, but that was a while ago. I think they're going to follow through with it. I think that I'll get back into the news in a second here, but I'm going to take a minute to get my opinions about this situation. Another reason why I think Sony needs to bring back the PlayStation Home is it would be another reason for you to purchase the PlayStation, because with the news of games going to PC, that after what happened with this Horizon Zero Dawn situation going natively to PC, there is no doubt in my mind that these bigger budget, maybe not all of them, but some of these big budget PlayStation VR games are going to go to PC in my belief. Because think about what Sony said when they said next generation, they're going to bring us bigger and better experiences. Something to keep in mind is because of the PS5 having so much more power than the PS4, it's going to end up splitting the user base. So for those that's going to want the better experience, they're going to have to upgrade to a PS5, and these PS4 people may get left behind. So because of that, they come out with a AAA game on PlayStation 5 VR, however you want to call it. They got to expect the sales are going to be low for that because of the user base being split between PS4 and PS5. With that being said, if the game struggles because of that split in the user base, there is no doubt in my mind a year or two later they would possibly send the game to PC. And so I think something like PlayStation Home coming to PS5 in VR is something that could offset that. So it's hard to let that come out of my mouth, but I wouldn't be surprised if Astrobot or Blood and Truth ends up on PC, because those games have run its course. The game's been out for a while. Everybody that wants the game already has it. You've done the bundle thing already, where you've introduced those games as part of PlayStation VR bundles, and that's it. I don't think those games can go any further. So I think the only thing left for those games, if you still want to try to monetize those games, is to release them on PC. And unless you plan on adding those games to like PlayStation Now as part of if you're gonna add VR games to PlayStation Now, that's the only other life I can see for those games. But if that's it, those games have gone as far as they can go, as far as VR people goes, and I think the only thing left for them to do is to send it over to PC, like it or not. So, Captain Thug Nasty, I don't think these new consoles are coming out this year, Lincoln. I don't disagree with that, and I'm fine with that, because I've between the PlayStation Pro and my PC, I've got plenty of games. I've got a huge backlog of flat screen games that, I'm being honest, I'm never going to get to them. Because I'm so wrapped up in VR. Hell, I even got a ton of VR. I even got a huge VR backlog of games that I might not finish for one reason or another. So, Great Tantrum, what's going on? What is up? What is up? So, let's move on to the next bit of news. And this is pretty cool news right here, I think. And that is the Sega Saturn classic Panzer Dragoon is coming to VR in an all-new game. So the Panzer Dragoon series for Sega Saturn, enshrined as an early 3D classic back in the mid-90s, is coming to VR. Japanese studio Wildman Incorporated is looking to revisit the series in a VR shooter, tentatively called Panzer Dragon Voyage Record, which VR too. There isn't much to go on for now. However, Wildman and Sega say in a press release, that the new VR dramatic shooter will revisit Panzer Dragon from 1995, Panzer Dragon Zwei from 1996, and Panzer Dragon Saga from 1998. So it sounds like it's going to combine all three of those games. The studios say Panzer Dragon VR will be a completely new work to play the episodes of the series trilogy, and it will be first-person VR only game. So, VTIS, I'm sure I remember this game coming out on about 7 CDs. You said my mate had it. Oh, cool. Although there isn't any footage of Panzer Dragon VR just yet, one of Wildman's previous projects in development since 2014, called The Gunner of Dragoon, may give us a clue to what sort of game it will be. So, as far as we can tell, The Gunner of Dragoon was never released or monetized, so it could be the basis of the now officially branded game. There's no clear release date yet or list of targeted platforms, although we'll be following the game's fairly active Twitter profile. So, I think they're going to try to put it on all formats, as many formats as possible. The question is which one will it come out on first? I think Anthony of VR 365 thinks it's going to come out on PlayStation VR. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a timed exclusive on PlayStation VR, but I think it's going to be something that's going to come out on all platforms. 1 second, folks. Okay. Let me put these goggles back on. So, in any case, yeah, I mean, got a couple of them. I'm sure I remember this game. Let me see. Saris is great. Panzer Dragon was a Super Sega classic. I owned all 3 games and even played the Xbox exclusive. Well, I didn't know it was on Xbox. That's interesting. Great tantrum. I'm not worried about PlayStation games coming to PC. Remember, to enjoy these games at their best, you need to pony up the dough. Good PC is expensive. Exactly. And you also said Panzer Dragon reminds me of Space Harrier with a dragon. So I think that's cool. But VTiz, I just looked it up. Just the 4 CDs. Okay, cool. But I think about this time last year when I was talking about wanting to see VR grow, and I was talking about how people like Bethesda was going to bridge the gap between what we have right now and what I would like to see happen, because Bethesda slipped in there and they slipped in there and then actually got a few bucks out of VR by doing Skyrim in VR and doing the Doom games in VR and doing Fallout 4 in VR. So I have felt like that if we can't get these AAA developers to get on board and start building VR games, why not take some of these past games, these past classics, and redo them in VR, or add a VR patch to them? So I mean, everything is starting to happen to VR at a feverish pace. All these new experiences popping up. People can do so much shit with virtual reality now. It's just crazy. And we've got individual people adding VR mods to classic games. So a lot is happening with VR. So if you have a VR headset on PC, the amount of content that you have access to is unimaginable. There's just so much stuff that you have access to: games, social apps, experiences, etc. Okay, so let's see what we got next. So I guess this goes off the PC, off the VR chart a little bit. PS4 exclusives on PC prompted by Microsoft's positioning. This is coming from Michael Pachter. Sony recognizes the presence of a market beyond console software sales, says the analyst. After rumors circulated for a good few weeks, Sony finally confirmed that Guerrilla Games' Horizon Zero Dawn would be coming to PC due in the summer. is actually the complete edition, which includes the base game, the Frozen Wilds expansion, and several content packs. However, while Sony Worldwide Studios president Herman Host would talk about being open to new ideas of how to introduce more people to PlayStation, he also clarified that releasing one first party AAA title to PC doesn't necessarily mean that every game now will come to PC. That's what they are saying now. What does this bode for the future? Gaming both spoke to Wedbush Securities analyst Michael Pachter about the same, explaining Sony's latest move to bring their games to PC. He said, I think Sony is hopeful that the PlayStation audience will continue to buy consoles and buy their first party titles, but they recognize that there is a market beyond console software sales. Of course, it's hard not to imagine Microsoft's stance on multi platform titles having an impact. On being asked about the same, Pachter responded, yes, I think Microsoft's positioning prompted Sony to follow suit. So we can expect the era of consoles exclusives finally, for sure, end with this move, especially if Sony does release PlayStation and PC versions of the same title in the future. This is the kind of shit where I think PC, Sony PC VR exclusives, PlayStation VR exclusive. I think they're eventually gonna make their way to PC. I mean, some of them are already out there with Ghost Giant, Batman VR, Megalith, and The Persistence. Those are four VR titles that started out on the PlayStation. Now they're on PC. So I guess, we already seen the situation with Horizon Dawn, and people were speculating what AAA title was going to go to PC next. I'm also wondering what PlayStation exclusive VR is going to be the next move to go to PC. But I don't like something like Astrobot or Blood and Truth. I don't think they're going to send that to I don't think they're going to send that to PC until after the PS5 comes out. I think if they did it now, I don't know. You might piss some people off knowing that they could have waited and got it on PC. I don't know. Great tantrum. Panzer Dragon is Sega's answer to Star Fox. No, I'm not familiar with Star Fox, to tell you the truth. Rome Brush, yep, PlayStation going to PC. They are committed. Yeah. And so before I continue on with this article, I was thinking at work, especially after watching Sick Humor's podcast. I'm beginning to really wonder if the PS5 is going to be Sony's last console. Because I do kind of think the Xbox Series X is going to be Microsoft's last console, because I'm sure they built this console with cloud capabilities. So all updates and improvements and shit like that is going to come from Microsoft themselves and not have to wait for them to come out with a new console to keep up with the technological advances. I think they're going to do it through the cloud. So, as games get graphical upgrades, as new games get developed, you're going to see it, 8-9 years from now because of the cohesion of local hardware as well as cloud gaming, as well as the cloud. So because of that, I think that the Xbox Series X could very well be Microsoft's last console, and I'm beginning to wonder the same about that for the PS5. With that being said, if the PS5 ends up being Sony's last console, it is only a matter of time before they start sending their exclusives to PC day and date along with the console version of games. So let's see here. Let me come back to a couple of comments here. Great tantrum. People are worried that Sony is going the way of Microsoft, where you can get games on both console and PC. It means exclusivity is taking the back burner. Yeah, that's exactly what this article is alluding to, and that's pretty much what we all knew. Even with these games coming to PC a year, 2 years later, the word exclusive coming out of your mouth has a weird ring to it now. It sounds weird now. So in a couple of years, exclusives, that's going to be like the dodo bird. Exclusives? Nobody does exclusives anymore. That kind of shit. That's how it's going to sound in a couple of years. Um, TGK, what's going on? Sony has come out and said they won't be putting all exclusives on PC. I think they will not put all their games on PC to start, but enough people have talked about it it is the belief, myself as well, that if a game comes out and launches on the PlayStation console and it flops, whatever their timeline was for that game to eventually come to PC will be greatly accelerated. If they come out with a game and have a plan to bring it to PC 3 years later, if the game flops on the PlayStation console, it could possibly come to PC within 6 months. So Saris is great. Why would people even assume PS5? PS5 was Sony's last console when they just recently updated their brand logo all the way up to the PS10. I get that, but now I'm beginning to wonder if all those now that they now that they copyrighted the logo all the way up to PS10. To me, okay, like for instance, if they, PS7 is going to be part of that copyright, that they filed the patent for or whatever. The way things are going now, PS7 may not necessarily mean hardware. It could mean just, a generation of gaming. So when, maybe 10, 15 years from now, when they say PS7, you may not be thinking hardware. You may be thinking the 7th generation of PlayStation games. So now that we see what direction they might be possibly headed in, copywriting and getting the patents and stuff like that for those logos, to me, doesn't necessarily mean a patent for hardware that they could possibly develop. It could just mean, now I see it as a copyright for a brand and not necessarily hardware. So, great tantrum. I guess it's exclusives. If it says PlayStation games are not coming to Xbox X, I see. I can't agree with that, because as a person who was fiercely loyal to the PlayStation brand, when I was part of that wave that criticized the Xbox brand because they still try to call their games exclusives. Like when games like Gears of War went to PC and stuff like that, they were still trying to call the game exclusive. And we was like, no, it's not exclusive because you can play it somewhere else other than the Xbox. So in all fairness, if a game goes to from the PlayStation console to PC, I can no longer call it exclusive, because you can play it on another device. So still trying to call it exclusives just for the simple fact that it won't go to an Xbox is fanboyism. So yeah, Rome Rush right there. You said copyright for the brand, exactly. So it doesn't necessarily mean copyright, for future consoles. So at this point now, because they're looking at a world beyond consoles. If there's a PlayStation, if a PlayStation 6 ends up coming out, it is my belief that 100% that will be the last console, if it's not the PlayStation 5. Okay, so I guess we're still on this subject. Let's see here. So, of course, it's not hard to imagine Microsoft's stance on multi-platform titles having an impact. On being asked about the same, Pachter responded, yes, I think Microsoft's positioning prompted Sony to follow suit, so we can expect the era of console exclusives to finally, for sure, end with this move, especially if Sony does release PlayStation and PC versions of the same title in the future. Pachter responded, yes, I think third-party exclusives are going to be tough to sign up, but I expect continued acquisitions to beef up first-party capability. That might be another sign that that Sony might be done with consoles with them making all these studio moves, because they're buying up big studios, not this bootleg shit like Microsoft was doing. Microsoft trying to load up on studios so they can fill up Game Pass. I think Sony, they very well could be done with the console, but they still plan on delivering high budget AAA titles, because if they move on beyond consoles and the PlayStation is no longer a device and it becomes a brand, the only thing that's going to keep people, in my opinion, tied up in them is to continue to deliver great games. So to me, I think that's Sony doubling down on the software side of things, because if they are done supporting consoles, they got to keep delivering these hard-hitting, compelling exclusives. So, hypothetically speaking, if the PlayStation 5 is their last console, 8 years from now, we see some bullshit like Bleeding Edge, I'm not going to touch it. They got to keep delivering. They got to keep delivering the Uncharted, the Last of Us, the Days Gones, those kind of games. And I think that is what Sony's plan is. And then the thing about it is, if Sony stops making a console, it's just like they just said in this article. Trying to sign up third-party people to get in your ecosystem is going to be tough, because there won't be new hardware for them to put their games on. And then with these third-party publishers, all of them trying to start up their own subscription service, that's going to make it even harder too. So Microsoft and Sony will be able to get third-party publishers to get on PlayStation Now and Game Pass for a little while, but after that, if both of them are done with consoles, after that, where do they go? So, like the current state of Game Pass. Without the third-party games there, what exactly do you got with Game Pass right now? Not much. And that's why, Microsoft is trying to build up a library of these little bootleg games from these bootleg developers that they purchase, because since they are eyeballing a future without consoles, their exclusives are basically going to be the biggest draw of Game Pass. Because, the current state right now, okay, I want to play Sleeping Dogs, right? I already got it on PlayStation Now. And it turns up on Game Pass. What do I need Game Pass for? So, it's going to turn into a situation where everybody who wants to start up a subscription service, they better have their first party titles better be what draws people to your service. So if Sony stops making consoles, PlayStation Now is not going to be very appealing with a bunch of third party titles in there, because this will be shit that you can get anywhere. They're still going to need to keep that first party. I don't want to use the word exclusives now, but first party is still going to have to be the biggest thing that draws people into the service. Let's see. TG exclusive sells consoles, but but it looks like Sony's way down the road eyeballing a future beyond consoles, as it's saying. So this is great, being that because of Mark Cerny adoption of the x86 architecture for the PlayStation going forward, maybe they won't need for hardware, but only via software. So yeah, you're onto something with that, Lincoln. Yeah, I think in that aspect, I think the PS5 might be going the exact same route that I think the Xbox X is going. Where I think both of these consoles are going to have cloud-based technology in them, where all the upgrades, graphical and performance upgrades is going to come from their cloud, and they won't, so if like the Last of Us 2 coming out right now, you see how amazing that game looks already. Under normal circumstances, you would think to yourself, "Wow, I can't wait to see what the Last of Us 2 could possibly look like on a PS6." That probably ain't gonna happen now because of the cloud. It's just like, okay, I guess we'll see what the Last of Us 3 looks like. When the next generation of games hits. Um, and you may not there may not be a PS6 for you to buy. So you just have to take whatever upgrades they give you through the cloud. Unless you want to go the PC route and update your PC. So Tantrum, if you claim your game is only on console, then later show up on PC as false advertisement. Yeah, I mean, I think moving forward, because what game was it? Oh, the Final Fantasy remake. The When that first came out, because it was a demo on the PlayStation, everybody was acting like it was a PlayStation exclusive. But then when I saw the advertisement for it, at the end of the advertisement, it said play on PlayStation first. I was like, end of story right there. We already know it's coming to Xbox and PC as well. So, in that aspect, no, so hell no, that wasn't a PlayStation exclusive. But the way everybody jumped all over the shit because the demo came out on PlayStation, they acted like it was a PlayStation exclusive. Also, Tantrum, you said what I heard is that both Microsoft and Sony going to PC mainly because to tap into the Chinese market. Um, yeah, and I heard Sick Humor in OBJ, and the rest of the panel talking about that, and that because I guess China is like the biggest connoisseur of video games, so um so we'll see. We'll see. But I definitely think Sony has a better chance to tap into the Chinese market than Microsoft with that bullshit that they come out with. You're not going to tap into a Chinese market with Bleeding Edge or State of Decay or Sea of Thieves. The Chinese recently lifted the ban on video games and PC is cheap in China. Yeah. And one of the great things about PCs is you can build a PC according to your budget, and you're not locked into an ecosystem. You still have the freedom to buy games from a variety of different retailers, so to speak. So later's all going to cook some food. Thanks, TGK for popping in. I appreciate it. Um, so yeah, this situation with Michael Pachter, this article I really don't need to read it any further, but moral of the story is, I guess this situation with Sony acting like they're following Microsoft's lead is proof that I guess the Cleveland Browns can show the New England Patriots how to win. Who'd ever thought I'd see the day that the New England Patriots would listen to the Cleveland Browns, but it looks like it's happening before our eyes. And maybe that's what some of those closed door meetings could have been that Microsoft and Sony was having. Was Them talking about, look, we can't do this council thing forever. We need to move on past this, and this is how I think we can both flourish. If we go this route. On a little side note, the Call of Duty Battle Royale Warzone, I believe it is, came out this week. I was going to try it until I saw that file size. It was 100 gigs, and I think it has a up to 165 players. Um, Now, my data cap is basically 1.1 terabyte, and if I were to download that game, it would take up about 10% of my data cap. And we're still in the middle of the month, so I don't want to touch it. So what I do is games that have really big files, I try to wait till the end of the month when my data cap resets. Um, so if it's like 2 days before the end of the month and I still got like 300 gigs worth of cap left, then that's when I start downloading all these big games, because then I know I won't go over my cap. So this Warzone, um, I'll take a look at downloading that at the end of the month. But even though this game is probably going to be riddled with microtransactions, in my opinion, once Activision made it clear that microtransactions was going to be a huge chunk of their revenue, it makes it a lot easier to draw people in if you make the game free to play. So, Tantrum, it is funny how Microsoft Series X looks like a PC tower. I think they are trying to say something. Makes me wonder what the PS5 will officially look like. I said that before. I said that a while back. Great Tantrum. If anybody was watching my streams, I was talking about that I felt like Microsoft deliberately made the Xbox One X look like a PC to soften the blow from their own community about their games going to PC. So now the Xbox exclusivity is in the console itself, the Series X. So I was talking about how people can, hold that Xbox Series X and feel all warm and fuzzy inside that they have their own exclusive Xbox computer. And with the power that the Series X is going to have, it's going to be, I would like to think that it's going to be comparable probably to some of today's mid-range PCs, prompting a lot of these Xbox to start opening their mouths and start thinking that they can compete against some of these PC gamers in some of these highly competitive games. So, so I think that's why they made that thing look like a PC, so they can forget about the games going to PC, but make them feel like they still have something of their very own. By making it, if they still continue to make the console look like a console, you could easily look at the Series X and be like, why the hell did I buy this thing when all the shit's going to PC? But you see something that looks like a PC tower there, you feel like, I'd imagine the subliminal messages to make them feel like they have their very own exclusive PC. Because now they can, when when the next Gears of War comes out, and people start talking to PC master race shit, then the Xbox can say, hey, we got something that's comparable to that PC, and I'll be able to match you on frame rates and blah blah blah, all that kind of shit. So that's what I'm thinking. I could be reaching with that belief, but I really do think that, and because of that, that really does make me wonder what is the next PS5 going to look like. Because moving forward now, whoever gets the PS5, I think every time they go to turn on that PS5, they're going to look at it and be like, you know what? I'm wondering if I should have bought a PC instead of this PS5. because that shit's gonna be in the back of their mind that yeah, Sony said not necessarily all games, and they want to try to display a pattern that these games may not get there for 2 or 3 years, but that can easily change. So, I mean, shit. My son, I bought him an Xbox One X. If I had a chance to do it all over again, if I would have bought my son a PC right from the get-go, I wouldn't have needed to buy him an Xbox One X. He don't even touch it anymore because he does all his gaming on PC. But I was unaware. I was still a hardcore console dude, and my son wanted the game in 4K, and little did I know that the best 4K experience would have been on PC, and let me see. He loves the Gears of War franchise. He still loves Gears of War. So looking back at it, if I had a chance to do it all over again, I would have bought him a PC, and I would have saved myself $500 and not wasted that money buying the Xbox One X. So, you live and you learn. Sirius is great. To me, the Xbox Series X mini tower design tell me Microsoft has finally come full circle, because if you look at it, its origin plan by the co-creators, Xbox was meant to be PC gaming for the living room. Fatal Charade, what is going on? How is your progress on trying to get a VR headset, my friend? I hope you are making progress. I hope you do know that. I'm sure you've already talked about it, about how you can't get a headset right now because of CV-19 and supply and demand and all that kind of stuff. I hope that you have ordered one, and hope that it gets to you more sooner than later, man, because we need you in this VR community. So I hope you still plan to get a headset. And coming back to what you said, Sarah's is great. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I think that was the purpose of making the console look like that, so people can feel like they're getting PC style gaming, disguised as a console. Best Buy told you that you wouldn't be able to get one till June. Well, Best Buy's not the only place where you can order one. I mean, you can still check out Amazon, or and then originally I was reluctant to order anything from Amazon because I didn't like the thought of them dropping shit at my door and just leaving it there. But you got an option of picking places of where you can go pick the order up at. So, if you don't want to spend the $400 for a Rift S, eBay is still another option. But I don't know how you would feel about ordering something from eBay during this time. But either way, it's unfortunate that you're going through this stuff. I do hope that you still plan on getting a headset. See, what do we got for the next bit of news? Modern Warfare 2 Remaster comes out this year, and that's with a question mark. A few years back, Activision released a remastered version of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and ever since, fans have screamed for a remaster for the sequel, Modern Warfare 2. Well, it seems like celebrations are in order, at least according to Okami, our man on the inside, who posted this Twitter. Modern Warfare Remastered is releasing this year with multiplayer. Activision hasn't, as of yet, commented about the supposed leak, but I know a fair few people who are positively vibrating out of excitement to play this Modern Warfare 2 again, and it seems like the game will release this year. Now, out of all the Call of Duty games, I think Modern Warfare 2 was one of my favorites. That scene where they shot up the airport was unforgettable. And I'll never forget that part when they were coming up in the elevator, and right before the doors opened, he turned around and looked at everybody and said, "Remember, no rushing." And I was like, why'd he say that to him? They shot up that whole damn airport, And when I walked through that airport with him, I didn't shoot anybody because since I was undercover, so to speak, um, I didn't know where the story was going, so I thought it was best that I don't shoot anybody. So I didn't. But that still was an unforgettable scene. Fatal Charade. I'm not spending $500 to $600 for a $400 headset. I'll just wait until they come back in stock. Oh no, I never suggested spending that. I mean, like if you would have wanted to get like an older Rift headset, or you might be talking about Amazon. I get what you might be talking about Amazon and dealing with the scalpers, because I think those are just regular independent people marking up their headsets. So yeah, I get what you're saying there. I wouldn't do it either. But not only would I love to see Modern Warfare 2 remastered, not only would I love to see that, if it were to come to PC and somebody were to put a VR mod in it, holy shit. Like Thrash would say, do that shit. I would love to see that. Modern Warfare 2 remastered and then done in VR with a VR mod. So I think the next bit of news, I'm just Reggie Fils-Aimé appointed to GameStop board of directors. And I'll just leave it at that. Good luck, Reggie Fils-Aimé, trying to save a franchise that I think has been disingenuous for God knows how many years. So I will say I think for as greedy as GameStop has been, I always have enjoyed going into the store and looking around, because they do have other shit besides games. And I do, like I'm gonna buy some of those, like those superhero statues that you see in there. I've seen like some Black Panther, Wolverine, Batman, collectibles in there, that I do plan on buying. So I do like the window shop inside of GameStop, and every now and then I still will make a purchase in there once in a great while. So I think a place like GameStop is still good in terms of being able to find something that might be super old and you'd have a hard time finding it somewhere else. I think they just need to readjust their used games pricing. No, Fatal Charade. You said that's all that's left is scalpers. Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So, and Tantrum, you said I'm in no rush to buy a PC VR headset, but the Samsung Odyssey Plus is looking exciting, but I don't want a wind blows device that is not as good with tracking. I have actually, Great Tantrum, I have thought about buying a Windows, not a Samsung Odyssey, only for the sim racing. I even thought about buying an HP Reverb for the sim racings, to be able to see those, because tracking is not going to matter when playing like racing sims. The controllers ain't going to make a difference. So that actually crossed my mind to go on eBay and to try to see if I can find a Samsung Odyssey Plus through those means. But I'm not going to be buying anything through eBay until this situation subsides. But yeah, that definitely crossed my mind. Next bit of news, and this is actually a little bit interesting. It says you can now cast Oculus Quest to Xbox One with Air Server. So currently with the Oculus Quest, there's a couple of ways that you can cast what you're playing. You can connect it to your phone, although they have to be connected to the same network, and you can show what that person is playing, on your phone. The other way is through the Google Chromecast, a little device that you connect to your TV wirelessly, blah blah blah. That way, whatever they're playing, you can display it on the TV. But learning that you can do that now on the Xbox is a little bit interesting. But let me see how you do it. I want to see if this is a is this a workaround or something official. Air Server, the casting software for Xbox One, received an update a few weeks ago that now lets users cast the view from inside the Oculus Quest to Xbox One without the need of a Chromecast device. The paid app is available to cast audio and video from Quest at 720p or 1080p at 60 frames per second. Wow, Air Server has both options for standard AirPlay and Miracast, whatever that is. The developer suggests enabling only the Google Cast option. Like standard Chromecast devices, casting to Xbox One with Air Server requires a Wi-Fi network, which means you would have to be on the same network naturally. And although priced at $20, there is a 1-week free trial so you can make sure your setup is working correctly before going in for the full license. In case you're not familiar with casting from a headset, it basically lets your friends watch on TV, which you are doing in VR, and the Air Server method makes a lot of sense if you already own an Xbox One and don't have a Chromecast, obviously. But it's still something you got to pay for. The latest base model Chromecast from Google only costs $35, however, and is an always-on device, which undoubtedly remove an admittedly small amount of friction of starting it up in comparison to Air Server. Not only that, you can easily unplug a Chromecast and toss it in your Quest when you're on the go and plug it in the HDMI port on TV, which is what I do. Whenever I'm leaving, I pack up the Quest and I throw that Chromecast in there with it. So with more and more smart TVs with built-in casting, you should also make sure you don't actually already own a cast-capable unit before buying either. Whatever device you may have, though, it's simple to cast your Quest view to your TV. Watch the tutorial below for step-by-step guide. Woo, getting scratchy. So yeah, my 65-inch TV in the living room already has Chromecast built into it, but my TV in the bedroom does not. And but that's not the biggest reason why I bought Chromecast, is so I can take it with me, because it's a lot easier to take the Quest with me and plug it into somebody's TV and show them what I'm doing on their TV versus trying to hold a phone up and trying to show them what I'm doing on the phone. And not only that, there's actually a little bit of latency between the headset and casting to a phone. Excuse me. So that's cool. Excuse me. Let me see here. Valve Index. Valve sells through index stocks right away. Yeah, we known about that for a while. Valve sold out what little stock they had of the Valve Index, and they're backed up. For those who want to order one, it's backed up to like 8 weeks. So, wow. For $1,000 VR headset, that's crazy. But the hype for VR for Half-Life Alyx is real. You know, we got about 9 days before we get Half-Life Alyx. Very, very excited about this game. So HTC discontinuing Vive and Pro and Vive Focus. I'm really not even gonna get into that because I don't know. I think somehow HTC has like 11 different headsets. So I think them discontinuing some of these Vive Pro and Vive Focus and all this kind of stuff is basically, I think is basically discontinuing like certain bundles. I think, but I'm not really even going to get into that because I really don't have any intentions of purchasing any kind of Valve Index, Valve HTC Vives. I don't really have any intentions to purchase any of those. So. Now, this is actually interesting right here, I think. It says Apex Construct on Quest has outsold all other platforms combined. That is very, very interesting because I thought Beat Saber would have been the game that done that. Fast travel games Apex Construct has sold more units on Oculus Quest than all other platforms combined, despite launching over a year later. That is very interesting. Andreas Juliusson, Chief Marketing Officer at the studio, confirmed as much on Twitter today. Apex Construct launched alongside the Oculus Quest in May 2019, coming in at just under 10 months of availability at the time of writing. But Apex Construct first launched on PSVR in February 2018 and came to PC the following March, giving these versions well over a year head start over the Quest. Jolison confirmed to Upload VR that the game passed that milestone this weekend. In January of 2019, before the launch of the Quest version, Fast Travel CEO Oscar Berman said that 46% of sales for Apex Construct were on PSVR alone. These are the latest figures to suggest VR developers are finding renewed success on the Quest platform, which doesn't require an expensive PC or console to run. Last month, the developer of Dread Halls also let us know that the Quest version of the game was currently outselling all others combined. So that's the bottom line. A lot of these games that I think are doing mediocre is finding a lot better success on the Quest. And I think that 2MD Football Evolution, I think that is going to find success on the Quest too, assuming it does come to the Quest. I mean, because the current 2MD Football is on the Quest, and it's not a bad game. I just wish they had more realistic figures instead of tackle dummies. But with 2MD Evolution, you know, they don't have tackle dummies, but they have robots now. And I guess it is a little bit arcadey. It is a little bit arcadey of a football game. And I think you know, for those who already own 2MD Football on Steam, they will get this updated version for free because they said not much has changed about the game. It's just got a new coat of paint. And for those who buy 2MD Evolution, will also get a copy of 2MD free on Steam. So when 2MD Evolution comes out, you know, I will be interested in that. But short story long, the point of it is that a lot of these developers, you know, they're going to have continued success on the Quest, and I think that's where we're headed now. Where a lot of these developers are probably going to end up making the Quest their first priority as far as what format to develop for, because you know, going back to using a game like 2MD Evolution for an example, that game would be so much more fun without a wire hanging out from behind your head. You know, even though you would probably get better graphics on the Rift or something like that, but to be able to play it on the Quest without a wire is going to be so much more enjoyable. So, you know, and I think we're going to be on the verge of another explosion of VR adopters once these first-person shooters officially launch at the Quest store. Because you know, after I get done, you know, sometime this weekend, I plan on contacting the developers of Contractors, because they were handing out beta keys for the game on the Quest. You know, as far as first-person shooter games goes, I think I'm kind of set with first-person shooter games on the PC. You know, with Firewall, Pavlov, Contractors, Zero Caliber, Onward. I think in what is it? Infinity something. That was another first-person shooter game. So I got like 5 or 6 first-person shooter games between, you know, PlayStation VR and PC. At this point, as far as first-person shooter goes, the only thing that really interests me now is those games getting released on the Quest version, so I can take them on the go with me, so I can, you know, go somewhere, you know, like hell, you know, be at a tennis court or something like that at a park and pull out the Quest and play, you know, Onward or Contractors or Pavlov on the Quest. So yes, developers are going to find a huge amount of success on the Quest. So that's another reason why Oculus, you know, before this CV-19 pandemic hit, that was another reason why I was kind of professing that somebody needs to kick Oculus in their ass so they can find a way to get more of these headsets out on store shelves so they can meet demand. Because if they would have been able, in my opinion, you know, if they would have been able to keep up with demand right from the start, they would have sold well over 1 million headsets by now. You know, but I think their numbers have suffered because they haven't been able to keep up with demand. I think the problem that Oculus faces right now is real, but I think at one point they might have fabricated this so-called shortage of headsets. I do believe at some point they might have had a false shortage, claiming that they were out driving up demand. Now they got a real problem on their hands. Ah, there it is. Um, this fan-made Silent Hill 2 VR concept video is wickedly well done. I'm just gonna read about it a little bit and see how this ties in with possible rumors about the game coming back. The footage made by David Post, who did an Ace One, who did an Ace PS1 trailer for Death Stranding 2, reimagines some of Silent Hill 2's most iconic moments in first person and asks you to picture them in VR. There's some bone crunching combat with the game's fleshy, horrific husk to start off with, and an intriguing translation of one of the game's puzzles into VR too. So, it says skipping through a lot of this other shit. It says, sadly, this is probably the closest we're going to get to a true Silent Hill game in VR anytime soon. We had hopes that the insanely scary looking Silent Hills would support PSVR, but Konami canceled the game after falling out with Hideo Kojima. He went on to make Death Stranding, which is also has a VR fan project to call his own. So, interesting. But hey, that's part of what But that's part of me talking about how a lot of these VR games, not VR games, but a lot of these past generation AAA games, they make it to VR, to PC, most notably Steam. Somebody's gonna do some kind of VR mod. So, and that's part of the reason why I talked about how Horizon Zero Dawn going to PC could possibly affect the VR industry, because if somebody can do it, they're going to find a way to put a VR mod on Horizon Zero Dawn, Death Stranding, what have you. And so, and I could almost bet my life on it that if God of War ever comes to PC, somebody is going to break their back and they are going to work tirelessly to try to find a VR mod for God of War. Worse yet, they'll even double their efforts if Spider-Man were to come to PC. So, Spider-Man 2, I know that's years away, but if Spider-Man 2 comes to PC and they have a first-person mode for Spider-Man 2, you can bet your bottom dollar there will be a VR mod for that game. Somebody will mod it. Mark my words. VTiz, gotta go now. I gotta run now. Lincoln, sorry, been quiet. Just been listening while I was doing a few other bits. Catch you later. Hey, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. What do we got here? So let me see. We know about the Persistent coming to a PC. And I think that's about all I got. Because everything else that I posted, I don't think is significant enough to talk about. So I'll leave it there. All this time I've been sitting here without the fan on. No wonder it's been feeling kind of warm. But I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. I'm a little bit hungry. Grab something. Throw something in the skillet. Make my own version of tacos. I basically buy Doritos. Throw them in a bowl and throw some taco meat, some cheese, some lettuce, and salsa on top of it, and just eat tacos in a bowl. Still tastes the same. And not only that, you don't got to deal with the taco falling apart when you bite it. So that sounds pretty good. So I think that's what I'm going to have soon after. So, but be on the lookout for those hot laps I plan on doing on both GT Sport and Project Cars 2. As stated before, I plan on running the Toyota TS050 hybrid on Circuit de la Sarthe on both GT Sport and Project Cars 2. I was horsing around a couple of days ago and turned in a lap time of 3 minutes and 35 seconds. But something to keep in mind is that I was also fighting through traffic with other cars on the track while I was trying to, while I was running that race. But both versions of the game, I plan on running that track with that car with identical settings, hopefully, and I plan to do it, in a qualifying or time trial style where it will be just me on the track. So I am going to shoot for at the very least, I'm going to shoot for 3 minutes and 25 seconds, but the goal is to try to do it in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So keep an eye on that. And when I do these streams, I think, both versions of the game, I'm going to do like a 2 or 3 lap time trial. The first lap just to get myself warmed up and pick out my points where I'm going to make my moves and stuff like that. And then like on the second or third lap, that's when I'll go all out to try to go for these personal records. So keep your eyes open for that. I plan to do that later on today. My son's not here. I elected to let him stay home, amidst the CV-19 concerns. So he'll be back next week. So that frees up the PC. It frees up the TV, and so that gives me access to my computer, and I'll be able to do some gaming. And that's because normally I'd spend a lot of a day like today. If he would have been here, I would have been doing an awful lot of gaming on the Quest because he would have already had the computer. So keep an eye out for those. And with that being said, I'm gonna get ready to get on out of here. I want to thank everybody for coming to Wakanda. As you board your shuttles and head home, we have Wakandan care packages for everyone. We hope you enjoyed your visit to Wakanda, and we will see you on the next one. Wakanda forever. Deuces.